Welcome. This is a recording of the presentation I gave earlier today at 1 o'clock, and some of you weren't able to be there for the full presentation, and some of you didn't make it for whatever reason. And should you be interested, especially in attending tomorrow and the third day, I thought I needed to present this to you, hoping that you have a chance to review and understand and absorb what happened in this first day of presentation. This is the first day of igniting your superpowers. And I'm delighted to do this, which I did off script, and will do again off script. The good news is that while Zoom somehow lost the recording, they did preserve the chat. So when I send this to you, you will be able to open up the chat and check to see what's going on as we go through the presentations and the slide. So the next thing that I'm going to do is start with the slides, and I will pause. I'm going to share my screen so that you can view the presentation as complete as it can be. Now, as I reviewed the 3 days, I realized that so many things you already have or that you could increase already as a superpower that you don't realize. And today I'm going to cover 3 practices that if you can get it, practice it, it will be so powerful to help you gain clarity, gain a sense of your purpose and abundance. But of course, I have more than today. And tomorrow, I will go into the sources of why you have possibly the confusion and overwhelm, feeling of stuckness, the sources. And then on the third day, we are going to jump into a superpower. So all of this to help you anticipate how rich these 3 days are. And I didn't want you to miss out on the first day. So who am I? Now, Anna Wilson is my wing woman, and she would read this, but I will in its stead since she's not here right now. And earned a PhD in clinical psychology in 1981, followed by a postdoctoral fellowship in psychiatry at UC Berkeley. She then worked at the UC Berkeley Counseling Center, which was the start of dedicating over 40 years to serving clients and continuing to advance her training. 5 years ago, her last training was with MAP, Make Anything Possible. She was certified, and with this expertise, deepened her transformational healing. 8 years ago, Anne published Listen to the Cries of Her Heart, a deeply personal account of her own inner child healing journey. Through her work, she guides individuals in healing their hearts and their inner child wounds, helping them transition to a love that is fulfilling and spiritually enriching. Anne's mission is to empower others to cultivate a personal relationship with love, spirit, or higher power, fostering deep emotional, and spiritual transformation through the darkness in their inner world. So that's the official story. But then I have my version of the story. And I sit with you before you today with so much healing, so much realization of my true purpose that I want to take you through the journey that got me here. And it begins with the pivotal moment in my life when I was 2 years, 3 months old, when my twin sisters were born. Now, can you imagine? I was the center of the stage of attention up to that time. But with the birth of the twins, everything shifted, changed. I was sort of cast out off center stage. And although I didn't know it then, I was very confused and lost. And that has been basically my emotional, psychological state of affairs for much of my life. Now, drawing on my Japanese heritage, which is based on Stoicism, because the basis of life is not to try to change the external situations, but to develop character. Now, no one ever said these words to me, but I absorbed that culture. So, added to this, when I was about 7 or 8, my aunt, who was like a mother, said these words to me that I took to heart. At that time, I didn't feel this sting of insult that I may have felt if I felt things. She said, "You have neither looks nor personality. You have to rely on your intelligence." So that's what I did. I used my intelligence to get ahead. And because my intelligence got the idea that if I conform to the safer path of success, I will be able to be successful in life. And this path of conformity and stoicism left my heart shrouded in mystery, created mystery about the trauma and the lostness and the yearning for love and safety that lived deep in my heart. But on the surface, I was successful. I became a professional and a very stable person on the outside. Should anyone had looked closely inside, they would see that this broken heart had led to unsuccessful relationships, 2 marriages, relationships, everything didn't work out. Why? Because there was a basis of betrayal in each of them, kind of replicating my childhood wound about being betrayed by my parents, or I should say, in my family when the twins were born. Then listen to the cries of your heart. Pierce through my intellect's rain. It was so startling for me because I never heard intuition before. And it was so entrancing. I had begun to write a chapter in a book. Listen to the cries of your heart. I was fixated on that and began to write. Sentence after sentence. I didn't know where the words came, but it led me on the journey to heal my own heart by listening to its cries. A book that is about inner child healing. Then intuition came through again while I was in the middle of a 5-day challenge run by Colette Stryker of the MAP Institute, MAP, Make Anything Possible. It was the most profound transformational process and method on the planet. And I learned it, added it to my resources, and used it with myself and my clients to do deeply transformational work. With it, I unraveled layers and layers of trauma parts, and I could heal them. So in time, I came to a place where not only do I feel successful on the outside, I have met and healed my heart so that I know my soul purpose. It's awakened my inner wisdom. And so I come to you today, hoping that you could see in my spirit how connected I am to my heart and to spirit. And I speak off script so that spirit can speak through me. So in this presentation, I get to know you. So if you would write in the chat, first say, hello, my name is so-and-so, so that I get to know you. When I find the chat accompanying this video that you've seen, I'll be able to connect to who you are. And the chats are also used for you to record your responses to my questions and self-reflective experiences. This presentation recording will be sent along, if I hadn't said before, the chat from the original presentation today. So you might check to see what the responses are. Right now, let's create a space that feels safe and we can dwell on gratitude. I will be very grateful for your presence, either live or listening to this recording. You honor me by your curiosity and your openness to listen to me and work with me through our self-reflective exercises. I want you to engage your curiosity and your intuition. And if you have a critical voice, which many of us have, see if you can put that critical voice aside to see whether there is something that you can understand and grasp for your own learning to move forward. Okay, this is day 1, and I'm going to cover 3 keys: awareness, acceptance, and alignment. Day 2 will be looking at the sources of the limitations that you discover. And day 3 will be claiming each superpower, especially the one with the subconscious. I love this wisdom quote. If you do not make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And this is not just about physical wellness or physical illness. It means well-being, your emotional, psychological wellness. If you don't make time for that, and you are making time for that right now, you'll be forced to make time because what you don't take care of will end up in pain, physical, emotional. And I'll elaborate on this, hopefully, further on. All right, the first segment, awareness. Thich Nhat Hanh quotes is, awareness is like the sun. When it shines on things, they are transformed. From my experience, it's not that they are transformed, but they can begin to transform because you see what light awareness shines in areas you really haven't looked. And this is what you'll be encouraged to do today. Take little glimpses in these self-reflective exercises to look with awareness, because I'm forcing you to do that, and see what you can see. Why things are transformed is you cannot unsee what you see with awareness. And that can begin your transformational process. So let's use the light. So the first self-reflective piece is to spend a minute or two to answer the question, where do I feel the most drained and overwhelmed in my life? Now you can pause this video for the time it takes for you to write your thoughts and exploring where you feel most drained. And in the chat, you will see where others are saying they feel overwhelmed and drained. After you've taken time to do that, I ask you to consider, what effect does this stress or distress have on your health, peace of mind, sleep, relationship, recreation? I offered this wheel so that you could see the areas of life that you could experience distress or stress and see whether it spills over into these other areas. Again, pause for a minute or two and evaluate how the stress has affected you in these ways. And once you've completed that, we'll move on to the next. So this awareness that I'm speaking about, you all have awareness. But if it's a light that will illuminate that which you can't see because you've been too busy, too much in your habits, and we'll talk about that. These are the ways that you can build awareness. It's a practice of moving into being versus doing. Keeping a daily journal is a time for you to reflect on what's going on for you, what concerns you, how you're feeling. It's a perfect time to spend with yourself and become aware of places that you've been too busy to ignore because you've been doing too much. So that's one way of building your awareness muscle. Second, any practice of meditation has the potential of doing the same, because when you meditate, you stop doing and you just sit, whatever your meditation is. You move to stillness or the present moment, and there's no past or any future. There is just the now. And if you can achieve this enough, then what you experience there can begin to seep into the rest of your life. The peace, the stillness, because it's an antidote to all the doing you usually do. I was taken aback when I saw this third item taking personality assessments. And I've taken the Enneagram in recent years, and I've been an interpreter of the Myers-Briggs type indicator, the MBTI, Myers-Briggs, where after answering a question, you have your personality types, and you can look into that and reflect, am I this way? And take a look at yourself as a personality. See the strengths and weaknesses, where you can work on with these assessments. So inasmuch it's taken time out of your usual doing to spend time looking at who you are, it can be valuable. The fourth is to ask for feedback from others. I don't know when I've asked for honest feedback from others. So if you got the courage, do that, because it'll be input that will affect how you might see yourself. Mindfulness is similar to a practice in meditation, but as I see it, a mindfulness practice is encouraging awareness all the time. So I'm aware, for example, how my hair feels on me or how cold I'm getting in this room. I'm aware. And a mindfulness practice certainly can build your awareness muscle. Grounding techniques and reconnecting to the earth puts you into a different experience, a connection with a spirit or a reality that is much bigger than your small self. And connecting to that energy and that spirit is certainly being in a different space, experiencing yourself in this connection differently. And that can make a difference. As does Tai Chi, Qigong, and yoga. If you're not caught up in doing the postures correctly and so focused on that you can't feel the shift in energy, the shift in how you feel in your body that is different. It has a lot of potential to bring you into doing. Here briefly are the things that keep you into doing your business. Are you very busy? Doesn't that keep you into doing? Rarely in being? Habits. How we go through a day is all a series of habits. How you get up in the morning, whether you brush your teeth, have a cup of coffee, what you do next and next and next. Get in the car, drive to work, get to the office, at home, get to the computer, connect to the internet. All of those habitual patterns. And once caught up in habits, it's hard to stop unless you have the habit of stopping every 45 minutes or so and then taking a walk around to get into a different space from where you were doing and doing. Conformity is also a way of keeping you doing, because conformity informs you about what you should be doing. The shoulds are all about conformity. And we could spend a lot of time talking about this. Myths and patterns. I wanted to highlight a few of them. One is It's only by working hard do you get anywhere. So if you believe this myth or this idea, you take it on and you feel the pressure of working hard, because that's the only way you achieve wealth or a position, success, working hard, constantly doing. Or the happily ever after myth. I think our society is still infected by the idea that you find the right person, a Prince Charming, or Cinderella, and life will be happily ever after. You can tell how many people have taken up on that myth and got rapidly disillusioned by the number of divorces in our country. It doesn't work out happily ever after. We bought the myth and went with it without seeing who the person truly is or seeing what was happening with us, that we were able to jump blindly and seek happily ever after. Other things are saying, oh, yeah, that person is just lucky. I don't have that luck, as a way of not taking responsibility and looking to see why you are or how you are where you are, which is what we'll be doing in the next 3 days. Then it's like a matter of willpower. Have you ever tried to break a habit like smoking or drinking? It's very difficult because addiction is your means of seeking comfort. And that's the only way, like endless shopping, endless video games, or any kind of addiction is a pattern that keeps you into doing and keeps you stuck. And their idea that we buy early on in life that there's only scarcity, there's only so much time, there's only so much effort. And unless we push ourselves, we won't have enough time. We won't have the opportunities. All of these are worth looking at. So the self-reflective piece is to look at the effect that any stress in any of these areas affect other areas. So again, take a pause for a minute or 2 or 5 and write on what effect the distress that you haven't acknowledged and now can see have in other areas of your life. And then when you return, we move to the second piece, and it's an emotional awareness check-in. What emotions do I struggle to acknowledge or express? For now, you can check in with 3 basic emotions: sadness, anger, and fear. So take 5 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, take a pause, and do an emotional check-in. What's the hardest feeling that you have in your life? And after you do that, you can check the chat to see what other people acknowledged in the original presentation. So after you concluded on that, we move to the next piece. And this is all about acceptance. The first piece was awareness, shining the light in areas that you have not looked at. The second piece is acceptance. So when you see that, when you see the emotions that you have, what do? If you've learned to have emotional intelligence, you will be able to handle it in a way that is very beneficial to you and others around you. But if you don't have emotional intelligence, you like to stay in your comfort zone. You don't want to feel and be with these uncomfortable feelings. I find anger particularly disturbing and uncomfortable. I have for my whole life, but I suppressed it. But when it comes up these days, I try to run from it. And then I say, oh, I'm running from this irritation. Let me stop and see what this is about. So it's good to check to see from your history whether you like the comfort zone, whether you have a habit of denying, saying, I don't feel that. I can bury this. Or you may be so unconscious that it goes zoom into the rabbit hole or black hole, and you're not even aware that you had anger, or you had a fear, or you had sadness. Because fundamentally, we are not equipped to grasp and live in the unknown and feel good, except for adventurers. You'll find that I used Carl Jung a lot. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. So everything you don't express, it's like putting another chain around you, and another, until you feel cage. And one major thing you can do after you become aware is to accept. Accept that's there. Don't run, it's there. And it's going to be there until you accept it. Get it? It's going to be there bothering you until you face it and accept it. And then things can shift. So, this exercise is for you to take another few-minute pause. Take one emotion, one event, when you felt a negative feeling, anger, fear, perhaps. And in your imagination, see yourself with this feeling and do everything you can to face it, to acknowledge it, to accept it. Watch the process. So you can stop the video and spend time with this. It's an incredibly valuable practice, which you can continue to do every day. Find something, some emotion, and see that you denied it, pushed it aside, and practice it. Okay, I felt really irritated at this person. Now let me sit with that irritation and accept it. See what happens when you accept it. Now there is more that I can teach you about how we deal with negative feelings. But that's it for today. For you to practice and imagine what acceptance, how liberating it can be. The third piece is alignment. And here, the question is, do you listen to your head or to your heart? Write in the chat which one it is. Most people say head. And why not? Because in this society, the brain, the head, is idolized. Science is idolized. Everyone is thinking to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out what the answers are, all in their head. Which do you listen to? Another choice point is whether you pay attention to the external world or the inner world. And I bet you would acknowledge that the external world has your attention if you're on the internet at all. The news is all about the external world with all of the drama, conflict, wars, craziness. And it captures your attention, and you shake your head or nod, whether you agree or disagree with this person doing that, and so forth. So it's easy to be captivated by the external world. However, here is Carl Jung again. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams or have nightmares. Who looks inside awakens to have clarity, awaken to know life purpose, awaken to the connection with something larger, a higher self. But it takes spending time in your inner world, looking into your heart. The first title to these series of classes in this 3-day challenge was Raise Your Emotional Intelligence. And all that I've been speaking about is about how to raise your emotional intelligence. It begins with awareness. It moves along when you accept. But here is a definition of emotional intelligence: a set of psychological faculties that enable individuals to perceive, understand, express, and control their emotions. I don't like the word control. I will say handle their emotions, and to discern and respond appropriate to the emotions of others. Perceive. It's to see what the emotions are. Then just don't walk by them, bury them, but understand what their function is, and possibly to express the anger, not angrily, but express what was going on for you, and to handle your emotions. And this way of working with yourself enables you to look at others and see how they are being affected by their emotions, and usually not being emotionally intelligent. They struggle with that too. So if two are in a relationship, not perceiving and understanding and handling the emotions well, you have a mess, which often happens in relationships, unless you keep them pretty superficial. So emotional intelligence requires the kind of process that I'm encouraging you to develop: the awareness, the acceptance, especially of the stress and your feelings, and to move to them as expressing needs from your heart. Anger is a no. The person before you or the situation doesn't meet your needs. It makes you feel unsafe. It makes you feel uncared for, not respected. And these needs, once you realize that, may say, okay, I don't need to be here. I can walk away, or I can draw a boundary. Or maybe I have a way of communicating with this person so we can get into a different space and change the nature of the communication and the relationship. And once you've learned the capacity to do this and you see others struggling, you will be able to be more compassionate and cause you to be valued among your friends and peers, because your emotional intelligence brings a stability, a calm, and clarification, and a moving forward into any communication. All right, as a summary, you have the opportunity of building your awareness muscle so you can see more what's in your inner world that you have suffered with, struggled with. And once seen, you might then accept it. I'm distressed about this. I feel discouraged about this. I feel like a failure about this. Don't run from it. Accept what is before you, because to do otherwise is to keep that chain around you until you have so many chains you are really confined. Whereas if you become aware and accept, especially the negative feelings, you become aligned with your heart, because you're listening to your heart, which is your emotional guidance system. Tomorrow, we're going to focus on the sources of your limitation and learn how childhood wounds hold beliefs and strategies that create the adult script that runs your life. So join us tomorrow as we focus on this. So I asked for takeaways, any insights, any action or commitment. And if you look at the transcript of the chat, mostly I saw gratitude from people. And I will take that seriously. I hear your gratitude, and I express my gratitude for your spending this time with me and spending this time with yourself, so that you can begin to change yourself, move from a place of feeling caged, more like a victim, and move into wholeness and strength, confidence, and being at peace. On the third day, I'm going to spend the last 15 minutes talking about a discovery session so you can learn more about my services. And this is the link that you'll have that we post in the chat so that you can act upon your curiosity. You can act upon your intuition to say, I need to learn more about what Anne offers. So for today, thank you for being with me. And I hope you have the opportunity to participate in the exercises that were presented today. See you tomorrow.